Yes.
Redefining right. There's more than one right way to do things right. And just looking at some of what I've been wrestling with over the last years since we wrote this book, one of the things that I realized is that I have a real problem with numbers. And I came to this conclusion when the book first came out, and
You won't let me tell you how many we've sold, what the Amazon number. You don't want to know any of that.
Because I looked one day and the numbers were not what I thought they should be, and I just felt myself completely distancing from the readers that were communicating with us, and I felt myself really narrowed down, and I realized that for me with numbers, I have this unhealthy polarization. They're either good or bad.
Okay.
And this is true of the scale. This is true of school and the percentage on the test. I'm getting better at this. You know, I'm learning that 80%, and you know, we can start with the 40% brave. But I mean, those kinds of numbers. And then more recently, and I've brought this along, show and tell.
I love that we have a show and tell, or a drag and brag.
I like that.
Yeah.
But I recently ordered this adorable set of pajamas, and I was very excited for them to arrive.
You can't see it. It says, "I'm a bear in the morning."
I'm a bear in the morning, and of course, you know, pink. You know,
very cute.
I'm the one who
I
wears
love those.
the pink.
And it has the coffee.
Yes, it does. And so I tried them on last night, and this is the size I normally wear. It didn't even fit like saran wrap. I mean, it was so bad and so uncomfortable. Yeah. And so I thought to my first thought was, you know, okay, fine, I'll order another size. And when I went and realized based on the measurements what size I would have to order, it was a number
that you did not want to visit.
And it's a number that I don't do.
Right.
And then I was like, I found myself thinking, oh, I'll just return them. I don't really want them that badly anyways. I don't deserve new pajamas. You know, I can save the money, and, you know, making all of these excuses. And I realized, no, this comes down to my idea of right. That there is a right number and there's a wrong number. There's good numbers and bad numbers. And, you know, if there was something different, if there was no tag, if there was no number, if maybe I would think differently. I don't know. And so the decision I've made for myself is that, well, part of it, I went back on the website and realized that these are from the junior department.
It makes a big difference.
Which does make a difference. Yeah. But it just, once again, as I was wrestling with this, I realized I love these pajamas. I need new pajamas. If they fit, if they were the right size for me, if they hung comfortably on me, which they do not right now, I would gain a lot of joy out of them.
Yeah. You'd be hanging out in your house.
I would. Yeah. I would. You know, I'd probably wear them when the girls come over for Bible study, you know. But there's this barrier that I am becoming more and more aware of, and it's this very judgmental attitude. It's fear, you know. It's fear saying boom, and for me saying no. There's multiple ways to be right in this situation, and for me, right has nothing to do with the number, and it has to do with how is this going to fit. Yeah. And so what I'm going to have to do the next ones that come, I'm going to have to forget about numbers. Yeah. Put it on and go, does this feel right? Right. Am I comfortable in it? And that's more important.
You know, I have a friend who is a stylist. Her name's Kim. Yeah. And she said the sizes can only be used as a guide. She said more people are walking around with ill-fitting clothes because they're in the wrong... And she said, you know, use it as a guide. Yeah. And what she does is she grabs the one that, you know, is supposed to fit, and then one smaller and one bigger. Yeah. And, you know, that's how she figures out what she should be wearing. Plus, you know, something that we underutilize in the United States is tailoring. Yeah. Because, you know, these are not some, clothes cannot fit one body type. And so to be locked into the number does such damage to us, especially as women. I mean, it's just craziness. It really, really is.
Well, and tailoring, that's interesting because when I sewed, I know I am 1.5 inches short. My back to waist ratio is 1.5 inches short in the back, but not necessarily in the front. Oh, interesting. And so when I sewed, I could always compensate for that. But when I buy things off the rack, and of course, you know, if I have a message to myself that it should fit, you know, that's the right thing, it should fit right away, and well, you know, I don't want to spend money on tailoring, whereas she's right, you know, a little bit of tailoring and you can have something look like it was made just for you.
Exactly.
So anyhow, so just sharing that with the idea that sometimes our idea of right centers around a number or some other arbitrary measure. Yeah. And we can miss out on a lot of fun.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
we can put ourselves in situations. You know, it even flashed through my mind, maybe I'll keep them and lose the weight.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe you said that.
I know. It only flashed through my mind.
Okay.
I'm like,
yes.
But, you know, but again, you know, these ridiculous, arbitrary things rather than I'm going to go ahead and get what feels good, what's comfortable, what actually works.
And at least you didn't take it to the self-punishing place of, I'll just hang on to them. It's too much bother to return them.
Oh, no.
Because how many, I've done that so many times where I had clothes hanging in my thing because they didn't fit right, but it was too much of a pain to take it back. You know, and it's like, for some reason I think that's very self-punishing. Like, I'm just going to hang it there and next time I'll get it right. No, I'll take it back and I'll get the right thing now that'll make me feel better about myself. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so the next chapter is
next chapter is perfect is for Pinterest.
Okay. So both Cheri and I and many of our friends have been reading this book, and it's called The Nester. Well, it's by The Nester. I'm trying to remember the exact name of the book. Do you remember? No. Okay, so if you just look for The Nester, you'll find it. But it's all about how your homes need to be personable, not perfect.
Yes.
And we both said, man, if that book had come out before we wrote this, I'll get the book so we can show it to the camera. But it's given me a lot of I don't want to say freedom to do some things, because I've had this coffee table for probably 2 years, and it's just a wood coffee table. And the reason I like the coffee, well, first of all, it was free, so free totally works for me. My mom gave it to us. She was actually giving it to my stepdaughter, and I said, oh, that's going to be too big for her apartment. And we had just gotten this giant couch, which you can only see a corner of it, but this wraps around.
That was kind of you to think about her.
Yes, I'm a giver. And so I really liked the scale of it was just perfect, and it was free, but it's just a plain wood, and that's not what I wanted. So I really wanted to paint it, but I've heard, all the things you have to do it perfectly. You have to sand it, and then you have to scrape it, and then you have to prime it,
I'm already
and
bored.
then you have to paint it, and then you have to seal it. I mean, like, it's forever. And what I love what she told us in the book is you can't ruin something you don't love. And so, and I asked for help. So a couple of things. I asked for help. I said, Roger, would you sand it for me? He said, sure. So, because he got to buy a new toy. He went and bought a sander.
Excellent.
But, that toy was $20. And then I primed it. Now, if I lifted this up and you saw the bottom, remember the backsplashes we had in the late 80s and 90s with the paint splatters all over? That's exactly what the bottom of this looks like. But I've already told my kids nobody's allowed to lay on the floor and look up. We're just not allowed to.
Darn, I was going to do that.
I know, you're going to do that. But like there's primer down there, and there's the red paint and everything. But it took me on and off a full day to get this thing done. But every time I look at it, I'm so happy. And it is probably 90% of perfect.
Yeah.
But that last 10% I don't care about. And then I'm going to show you the knobs, because the knobs have put it over the top. There's nothing perfect about this table. I should not be on Pinterest writing directions on how to perfectly prime and paint this. But everybody who comes in here says, I love your table. And you know what? Every time I come downstairs, it makes me happy. And if you can see the curtains behind you, I bought those and matched the table to it. And it's like, it used to be, everything in here used to match before.
Yeah.
And now almost nothing matches, but everything makes me happy.
Yeah.
And that is my new, because perfect didn't make me happy. Perfect is like, because there's always a room that's more perfect. But I don't know a room in the United States that's more Kathi Lipp than this room.
No.
And Roger's fine with it not being as Roger Lipp because he's got the big ugly chair. So, which we will not be showing you on camera. Well, we can show you on camera.
Why do husbands always want the big ugly chair?
You know what though? It's where my mom sleeps when she comes to visit. And it's the only place she can sleep. We're like the only place in San Jose she can sleep because we have the big comfy ugly chair.
All right.
So there we go. Okay, what is our next chapter?
Let's see. Be a rebel with a cause. Good girls get angry, but for all the right reasons.
So
have you had a Starbucks incident
I know.
lately?
It's like, oh my goodness. Wouldn't that be lovely? I don't know that I've really had, well, I've had a couple of angry things. I will be honest. What I get really angry with, okay, let me just vent for a second because I'm sure people can relate, is we were ordering some food from, what's it called? It's Baja Fresh. And they told us how to do it. And we did everything right. And when we went there to pick up our web order, they had no idea who we were.
Oh no!
And we were on kind of a time
crunch.
And it was my daughter Kimberly who was going, and it's a new web system, but they were treating us like criminals, like we were trying to buck the system. Or like, really, if I was going to pull a crime, it would not be over $16 worth of tacos. I promise you that. But one thing I've really, really learned is that. I didn't have to lose my cool. I wasn't screaming at anybody. But I'm telling people when, people are like, why get upset over a $3.50 cup of coffee? I'm like, okay, but that's a $3.50 cup of coffee. If they're going to ask me to pay a ridiculous price, I'm kind of allowed to have some ridiculous expectations. And so, this did happen recently. Roger's standard order at Starbucks is the 3 petite vanilla scones. They come as 3, and he loves those.
They're wonderful.
4 times we have gotten home, and there's been 1 vanilla scone in there. And so, I don't get angry, but I say, you know what? I'm going to give you the opportunity to make this right. Yeah. And so I don't need to belittle anybody. I want to save my anger for things like poverty and mistreatment of animals and kids. And so I think anger is a tool we can pull out, but it has to be used judiciously. But we have some people. We live in very close quarters around here, and we have some people who yell at their kids. And I just think it's such a misplaced use of anger. It's always brimming right here, and that's what your kids are going to remember. But anger is a good thing when used in proper portions, and I think when you know what the end is you want to get to, and so I find that I maybe am getting a little bit more angry than I used to, but I think it's in good ways. I really do. Because I used to be a doormat. I used to be like, I just want everybody to like me and kumbaya, and now I am somebody who will say, hey, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make this right, and if you don't make it right, then we're going to have some problems.
All right. Well, and then the chapter 12, this probably isn't the end of the world. I wrote that chapter because my lifelong battle has been dealing with big emotions.
Yeah.
And being easily overwhelmed, and that is something that I know. I mean, I can feel it, and even my kids will say that they've seen a difference in me over the last couple of years. And one of the things that I wrote about in the book, it's really a small part, is that in dealing with overwhelming emotions, gratitude has been really important. And this is just one of my many gratitude journals. I'll hold it up so you can see. And I learned something really unexpected by keeping this gratitude journal. At first, I was barely able to write 1 or 2 things per day, and some days it was I'm breathing, but I'm not sure if I'm grateful about that, And then, I tried to get to 3 and 5, and then, of course, I do have a slightly competitive side, so one day it occurred to me, well, there's 21 lines. What if I tried to fill all 21?
The lines.
Well, yeah. Of course I did. And I numbered them even. And actually, if I squeezed it in, I got 22. And so...
Because you're just that Jesus-y. I love it.
No, I'm just that, what is it, OCD? Never undiagnosed, self-diagnosed. Here we go. But, so, I did...
Okay, hold on. I just have to say this. My friend said she's CDO because you have to alphabetize the OCD.
That's right. I like that. I like your friend. We would get along well. Get those letters in the exact perfect order.
Exactly.
Anyways, I challenged myself to try to fill the whole page, which really was, and I'm not trying to say this to be Jesus-y, because I don't care. Everybody's journal can be their own. But for me, what I found happening was, let's say that I got to 12 by evening, and I needed 10 more to fill the page. Well, then what was I doing all evening long?
You were looking for stuff.
I'm looking for, and I'd be looking at my kids going, do something good, do something good, do something good.
Come on,
I need something to write down. Which meant that I wasn't seeing the other. And Daniel actually was at a men's retreat last weekend while I was at the other retreat, and he heard a brain specialist talk about the fact that joy is processed in a part of the brain where none of the other emotions are processed. And so our brains, even, especially the male brain, but even the female brain, it's one or the other.
Wow.
And so if we're in the part of the brain that processes joy, and that's going to include gratitude, because gratitude produces joy, we can't be angry at the same time that we're being grateful. We can't be resentful. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. I thought, wow. So in all the verses in Scripture that talk about being thankful, it's almost as if God knew what he was talking about. Who would have thought, you know? So but here's the thing that was so fascinating to me is I got to the end of my journal, and I'd only been writing on these pages, because I'm a right-handed person. Right. You probably would have done the other way, because you're a lefty, which is why you're so creative.
Yes.
I always wish I'd been a lefty, but that's okay. And so I didn't have time to go buy a new journal, and so I started writing on the other side. Okay? And so the first time it didn't matter, but the next time, in order to fill this page, I had access to this page, so I skimmed it. And I noticed the things, I had never done this before. I'd never gone through and reviewed, so day in and day out, I'm filling this page, but I'm also reviewing the other one. And what I noticed after doing this for about 10 days is I love hummingbirds.
Oh, right.
I had no idea, but it was because I was sitting here going, hummingbirds, hummingbirds, hummingbirds. What's the thing with hummingbirds? And I sat there and I went, I must like hummingbirds. And and then I paged through it. I'm like, they show up on every page.
Wow.
And here I am going on 50, and how do I not know that I like hummingbirds?
Interesting.
And what occurred to me is, so many women, we're trying to figure out who God created us to be. We're trying to figure out who we really are. Earlier you talked about the importance of just be yourself.
Yeah.
That's a great concept, but so many of us have been anybody but ourselves.
Right.
We've been the perfect version of this or that for everybody else in our lives. And for me to realize, hang on a second, the place to find out who I am is right here.
Yes.
This is a collection of everything I love, everything that's meaningful for me. It's like a gallery of my gratitude. And the best thing is, because it's my own unique collection, it has made me so much less envious.
Oh,
because
interesting.
I don't need what anybody else has. I have my own unique blend right here. Now, I met somebody at a retreat who she had drawn a beautiful hummingbird. She's ended up doing all the artwork for our book launch. And she brought it up to me, and it was gorgeous. But I didn't envy her artistic ability.
Right.
We both enjoy hummingbirds. We have that in common. And I'm like, ooh, let me see your drawing. And, I don't have anything to show other than, I have a hummingbird feeder at home. Yeah. So we had the thing in common, but what she has is this incredible artistic ability, which I could appreciate and enjoy rather than go, I'm nobody and she's special and, that kind of thing. And so to recognize that gratitude isn't just a great way to change an attitude, it's actually an amazing self-discovery. And I don't mean it in a selfish way, but it's a way to discover who God created us to be in the first place.
So true.
And that did not occur to me when I first started. This is like my 4th or 5th gratitude journal. And
it really gave you some insight into your personality. No, I think that's tremendous. And, to recognize that things can change over the years, too, that, sometimes, and this can happen in families, too. You mentioned you're like a unicorn, and suddenly you've got 1,800 little figurines or something like that. And to say, to constantly say what brings me happiness, what brings me joy. For the longest time, like, okay, we'll go back to decorating. I don't know what, but I had everything in muted tones and browns and creams and everything like that.
But that's not your personality.
It's not my personality.
No, it isn't.
I was doing things so things would blend, nothing would stand out, and it's like it doesn't bring me joy. It might bring calmness or something for somebody else, but I think that's so interesting. That's such a great exercise. So what's the question we're going to leave everybody with?
Boy, I'd love to end with the question, who are you?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
What brings you joy? What makes you happy? What in your life? What in your house? What and take a look at these 4 chapters, whether it's about doing things right or not doing them at all unless you can do them right, or whether it's anger or big emotions. As you're going through these 4 chapters and learning more about yourself and the things that you do or don't do in terms of the 4 peoples, because their goal is to make you not yourself, to make you anybody but yourself, and to steal
yourself
your joy.
is not good enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so I think discover what you love. What is it that you love, and then how can you bring more of that into your everyday life? So how are you incorporating hummingbirds more into your life? Because I know you.
All right, you're the first to know.
Did you get a hummingbird tattoo?
No. Well, yes, I did, but it's not permanent.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, I'm blogging tattoos days
right,
because
right.
I'm still in the process of processing my own reaction to my daughter's tattoos.
Right.
And one of the things I figured I need to do before I actually really sit and have another talk with her about them is I need to experience them. And so I've gotten 2 temporary tattoos.
Nice.
And one of them says, it's in the infinity symbol and says brave, and the other one is a beautifully colored hummingbird.
I was joking.
No.
You really
I really have bought.
So
I haven't put them on yet. But here's the thing is, as I was looking through all the possible temporary tattoos, and they're temporary because I want to respect my husband's wishes.
Right.
I'm not telling anybody else what they should do, but this is
No.
where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to make the big leap to permanence. But it was really fun. It was, and I think I kind of got a sense of, oh, maybe this is what she experienced while she was doing it. But it was really fun to choose, and to choose those symbols. You know, brave because of our book and the journey we've been on. But then when I saw the hummingbird, I'm like, that's it.
That's it.
Absolutely, that's
it.
Yeah.
So cool.
And so whether I end up with, lots of them that I just keep putting on because they're temporary and wash off, or I can picture some more hummingbirds showing up in my house.
I love it. I think that's so great.
Yeah.
I love that you're incorporating that.
Yeah.
And I'm incorporating, color. I'm
Yeah.
like, that kitchen table in there that's all brown and stuff, that is
Really?
going to be a very mossy green the next time
I
you see
cannot
it.
wait to see it.
Yeah. I'm trying, and it's not going to look perfect.
Yeah.
It's just not, but it makes me happy, and I allowed myself to imagine, what if I walked into every room of my house and it made me happy?
Wow.
So for me, that's kind of a radical thought. Because I've had to live so long with functionality because we have so many kids and everything like that. But our last kid left the house 3 weeks ago. And, I don't think that there is such a term as re-nesting. I'm coming up with it.
I like it.
It's
though.
re-nesting because it's like you don't have to worry about 1,800 kids traveling through here every day. You get to think about what works for me and my husband. And what works for me and my husband is pretty and beauty and peace and joy. And so that's how I'm incorporating more of it. Oh, and I have to worry about Jake,
Yes.
But he's pretty much, he's okay. As long as there's a comfy place.
Okay, so I'm going to extend that question though, because I love that question. What if you walked into every room in your house and it made you happy?
Yeah.
What if you looked at your calendar and it made you happy?
Oh, yeah, that's a thought.
What if you looked in the mirror and were happy?
Yeah, you know what? I have to say, I think I've lost a lot of weight, but I don't think that's the thing that's made me happy. I think part of my re-nesting, and I'm not saying you have to wait to be happy until you let your kid leave, but I do feel like we're in a different phase of life.
Yeah.
And this has not been my haircut. I
love it though.
Thank you. I haven't had a haircut like this. Like anything. I've had the same hairstyle for probably 15 years. And, I'm just in a phase of, I'm going to try it. And, nothing permanent. They're not tattoos. It'll grow out again. But yeah, I want to get to the place where, and it's not just happy, because I understand that happy is a temporary thing. But when I look at my calendar, it's like, these things are the things that are important to me.
Yeah.
My calendar reflects my values.
Yeah, these are you.
That would be, that's something I'm striving towards. And like I said, I'm saying no to a lot of things. I think my calendar is as close as it's ever been. So yeah, that's exciting. I think that's really exciting, and challenging. I think it's, we've been through quite a process with this book. I don't think just writing it either. I think going back and rereading it and hearing from other women, I think there's been quite a process.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I'm hearing is risk. Taking risks.
Yeah,
taking
it really is.
Calculated risks to try something and be okay if it doesn't turn out perfectly. And, your trip to Nicaragua has risk to it. But, I'm not going to speak for you, but being angry over injustices there versus angry over an inconvenience here in America is going to make you a different person. It's going to make you more yourself.
That's what I want.
It's going to make you more you. So okay, so I'm going to go back, and the questions that we're gonna leave you with are, walking into any room of your house, is it you? Mm-hmm. Does it give you that sense of happiness, contentment, joy, satisfaction, whatever word we want to use, peace,
right,
excitement, whatever matches your personality? But is this you?
Yeah, and you may be in that phase where you have to think about the kids and everything, But is there something in every room?
Is there a vase with a flower in
Yeah,
it that's you,
yeah.
and the rest is Legos? Yeah.
Is there a doorknob?
Yeah.
You know, is there something
Yeah.
that just
not all or nothing?
Yeah.
There can be something
right?
that's enough.
Because we still have Roger's ugly chair. Let's
That's
just be
true.
clear. That's not going anywhere because
That's
I
true.
love him. I love him. Yes.
Okay, so the chair stays.
The chair stays.
But again, the calendar does this calendar represent you, who
Yeah.
God created you to
Yeah.
be? And, you know, even when we look in the mirror and, you know, we could, like you said, we could point out everything about
Everything
ourselves
that's
that
wrong.
we don't like, or we could focus on the thing that brings us satisfaction and
Yeah.
that we are striving to be more like the person God created us
Yeah.
to be.
Because, you know, I feel like the women who are truly beautiful are not necessarily ones who are born with it, but who can appreciate, you know, their differences, appreciate, you know, who God's created them to be. Good questions.
All right.